What it do, Tube? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Says I Am He. And now, with the kickoff of Super Bowl 56, just mere hours away, I wanted to do a quick Super Bowl preview video. And this one will contain my good to sees, game keys, miscellaneous notes, and predictions. So let's get right to it. First of all, the weather this week in beautiful Southern California was just downright wintry. Today, 80 degrees, sunny and blue, just magnificent weather to make all of the Super Bowl tourists envious and never want to leave. But we want you to go back now where you came from safely, of course. So let's get right to it. My good to sees. These are the things that I've noticed over the last week or so since the Rams' beautiful championship victory over them damn Niners. First of all, it was really good to see Robert Woods, Bobby Trees, out on the field, enjoying the victory celebration with his teammates. And that clip I saw of Cooper Kupp and Bobby Trees in the embrace, and they're just saying words of love and brotherhood to each other. And they have to have a special bond, because, they came in 2017 together and with McVay, and in 2018, when the Rams went to the Super Bowl, Cooper Kupp had a blown out ACL. And so he was unable to play, and he had to watch from the sidelines. And so he has to know exactly how Robert Woods feels, and vice versa. And so to see them have that moment, it was just beautiful to see. I'm glad to see Bobby Trees is still engaged and feeling a part of it all, as he should. And I'm very excited about next year and the prospects of the team the Rams could field. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. But when asked what was shared in that embrace they had, Bobby Trees said he told Cooper Kupp, don't do what we did in 2018-19. He said, go win that thing. Bring back that ring. Also, I learned over the past week that Robert Woods Jr. lost his father, Robert Woods Sr. And so heartfelt condolences to Robert Woods and his family and the loss of his father. But it's really good to see him out there. And you can tell there's something, there's more than just business associates, or teammates. There seems to be a deeper bond there. And a lot of that, I think, has to be attributed to the culture that Sean McWonder has built. It was good to see Ernest Jones back and out on the field and doing his thing, and looking forward to seeing him make his Super Bowl debut. It was good to see AD 99 going from tears to cheers, I would say, after the way everything ended in Green Bay last year, with him on the sideline, hurt and unable to contribute to the team's attempt to try and beat the Pack. To see him this year leading the charge, rallying the troops and getting the job done, and now on his way to the Super Bowl. And I certainly hope and expect that he will pull down a ring. And so it's really good to see that for AD 99. It's great to see OBJ, Sticky Fingers, making such an impact. And he seems, and this comes, I imagine, with, in certain cases, not all, but in his case, as he has gotten a little older, he seems to have mellowed out, matured. He seems to be in a good place. He definitely made the right choice, as I predicted he would. Go see the OBJ video I made months ago. But it's just good to see him comfortable, relaxed, doing his thing, and he's excelling. And I watch the games closely, as you know, and I can't say that I've seen him drop a ball yet. I can't think of one. Sticky fingers. And that 4th and 5 in Baltimore, the way he pulled that first down catch in, all fingers sticky, and then extended the ball out with his hand, never bringing it in and getting that first down. And then on the very next play, sticky fingers, extending the ball over the pylon, touchdown, and the Rams would go on to win that game. That was iconic, OBJ. That catch and then that following touchdown should live on in Rams lore for many, many years to come. So welcome, OBJ, and I certainly hope that he will continue his career as a Ram next season, whatever the outcome is in the big game coming up. Good to see. Good to see what I at one point thought may have been, and I think was, a rift between the Los Angeles Rams and the St. Louis Rams. And I found that extremely unfortunate and extremely disappointing, because until such time as may be very soon, at this juncture still, the only Super Bowl title in Rams franchise history belongs to the St. Louis Rams. And so that history and culture, that should be embraced and celebrated. There shouldn't be any ostracized Rams because they played and excelled in St. Louis. And I know that there were hard feelings on both sides, but I also remember during the years the Rams were in St. Louis, many LA Rams fans followed the St. Louis Rams in the newspaper, online, etc. And I remember many times during various scenarios, especially when the team was struggling, they would commiserate and they would, the loyal LA Rams fans, and still there are loyal St. Louis Rams fans who are enjoying, loving the success of this year's LA squad. And so what rift there is, let it be healed. And it's really been good to see Torrey Holt hanging out with Cooper Crazy Legs Cup and meeting with the wide receivers and hanging with OBJ, and the same for Reverend Isaac Bruce, being welcomed back into the Ramily. Yeah? And I don't know what the deal is with Kurt Warner. There seems to me to be a deal. I don't know. He doesn't seem very Ram. You know, most of the old ballers, once they retire, they seem very centric to their particular team. Like, you know, Michael Irvin. Irv is just ridiculous. You know, every year he's going to pick the Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl, regardless of the sense that makes or doesn't. But not Kurt. Kurt routinely will pick against the Rams, almost like he wouldn't mind seeing them lose, you know. I wouldn't be surprised if he's picking, I haven't heard from Kurt yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's picking Cincinnati, knowing Kurt. But beyond that, it was good to see Marshall Faulk during Super Bowl week have a long conversation on air. And all those guys, they should be welcome, and they should be celebrated, because still to this day, those 3 years, that was the most prolific offense in NFL history. And although they only got one championship, those were 3 magical years. So, and the rest of those years in St. Louis, the other 17 were pretty bad. Even though some great draft picks came out of it, like Aaron Donald, and some awful draft picks as well came out of it, like Greg Robinson in the same draft. Most people think Aaron Donald was the Rams' first pick. He was their first round pick, but he was their second pick in the first round. He was taken 13th, 1 pick ahead of OBJ, 1 pick behind OBJ. But the Rams had a second pick. They had, in the first round, they were picking number 2 in that year's draft. And they drafted an offensive lineman bust by the name of Greg Robinson. But I digress. Those 20 years in St. Louis, my point is, were, for the most part, pretty bleak. But for 3 years, and a little bit on the back end, 3 magical, wonderful years. The greatest show on turf lit up the football sky. And so I want to see a healing of any rift there may have been. One Ramily. Yeah, man. I want to send a big shout out to Rams wide receiver coach Eric Yarber. I see this gentleman on the sideline all the time with this amazing energy, pumped up, and you can tell his passion is off the charts. And the players speak of him so highly, and his energy jumps off the screen whenever they pan to the sideline and you see him. The man, I don't know how old the gentleman is, but the man is an energetic dynamo. And I understand he's even more fantastic of a coach. And so, just from what I've seen, he impresses me. And I just want to send a shout out, because you don't hear that often about people like Eric Yarber. I see you, Coach. Kudos and congratulations to you, sir. And, of course, I'm always going to have to give another tip of the cap to McGenius, Mr. Sean McVay, the boy wonder. What he's done is really remarkable when you look at it in the aggregate. And so, it's not just the football, as I've said before, but it's the creating the culture and being innovative and being able to deal with all, because it's like being, you're like a circus ringmaster. You're juggling all these acts. You've got all these things going on. To be that young and to be able to handle all of them and deal with the media and have the ability to be gregarious, and because some people have all of the football acumen, like Belichick, but he's like, the troll that was trying to hold the billy goats up in terms of personality, or like the Penguin from the old Batman series. And so Sean McVay put it all together. And now, with his second Super Bowl in 4 years, why, it's very clear to me the man is on a Hall of Fame track. Okay? Now, it'll help a great deal, tremendously, if you can go ahead and pull this one down, Mr. McWonder, and get that chip. But from appearing in the Super Bowl in 2019, Sean McVay became the youngest coach to ever coach a team to the Super Bowl. And now 3 years later, he becomes the second youngest, only bested by his younger self from 3 years ago. So he's still the youngest coach, twice, to take a team to the Super Bowl. And you know who's third? His protege, his assistant who became quarterback's coach, who is now head coach of Cincinnati. He's the third youngest. And so you just see the influence that Sean McVay has had on the NFL. And so he is absolutely on a Hall of Fame track. And I hope that he doesn't get burned out and that he stays in the game. And if so, he has a very good chance of going down as greatest coach of all time in NFL history, even surpassing Belichick. And I'd like to see that. And speaking of Sean McVay assistants, well, you know, Kevin O'Connell, the OC, who doesn't call plays, is now head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. Well, they can't say it yet because Rams are still playing, but any day now once the game's over. And yet, Raheem Morris, look at that, though. Brandon Staley, 1 year, McVay's defensive coordinator, head coach. Zach Taylor in the Super Bowl this year, McVay's quarterback coach, head coach. And look at LaFleur. And it seems like if you have any working relationship with Sean McVay, you are going to be promoted to a head coach somewhere in the NFL, unless you're black. In a look ahead, would like to see, similarly to what Tampa Bay did by returning their main, in fact, all their players, I'd like to see the Rams try to bring back their stars. And many of them will be, but specifically, I'd like to see Von Miller and OBJ return. And I hope Sony sticks around. I don't know that. But I think, and here's the point, I think that the LA Rams and Sean McVay have an opportunity to do something that has never been done in the history of the NFL. And what is that, you may ask? Why? And I'm going to say it quietly, whispered. And again, I'm way ahead of myself. Because you got to get the first one. You got to get this game. But I think Sean McWonder has a chance to pull down 3 in a row. It's never been done now. Now, you heard it here first. And I know they haven't gotten the first one yet. And regardless of the outcome of this, I think he's constituted in such a way that once he gets that first one you see, it'll be like the dominoes will fall. Snap, snap. I think the McGenius can get 3 in a row. So, I heard McGenius giving an injury update, and his voice is completely shot. And Cooper Kupp says he's a psychopath. And so, get some rest, Coach McWonder. Get some rest. You want to be at your best, feeling sharp and good to go, feeling fine and so far. But I think he can do it. And the front office has shown, and the ownership has shown, that they will support what it takes to get such a lofty goal accomplished. And they're highly motivated to do it because they want to make great inroads in this new LA market. All right. And so I think that segues very nicely into game keys. Game keys. Well, of course, as always, line play. Line play is at the core of it. And here's the thing now. Most people, I think, have rightly assessed that the Rams' defensive line has a distinct advantage against the Cincinnati offensive line. And so the idea is those guys should be able to eat. We saw Joe Burrow get burrowed 9 times against Tennessee. 9 sacks. How he won that game is beyond me. But if Tennessee can get him 9 times, how many times can the best front in football get him? Well, I'm not going to be so bold as to predict 10. I'm not even going to predict 9. But I will say this. If they can sack him 5 times, 5 is a very strong likelihood that they're going to cause turnover issues and that the Rams are going to win that game. Now, speaking of turnovers, here is a Super Bowl fun fact. Teams that win the turnover battle in the Super Bowl are 38-6. When winning the turnover battle, 38-6. That is a distinct advantage, wouldn't you say? And so again, another obvious cut down, avoid, eliminate to any extent you can turnovers if you're the Rams. And this is where I feel concerned, because despite the Rams' advantage with defensive line play, what concerns me is the coach's tendency to get out of balance, to chuck it all around the yard, to invite in the unspeakable one, and calamity ensues. And I've seen this play out again and again and again throughout the season. You see, so I know that this is the tendency of McVay. And so, as I said in a previous video, I suspect that Sean McGenius is going to have Matty from the D chuck it a minimum of 40 times. I'm going to say 45. The over-under, I'm going to say over 45 chucks for Matty from the D. And that is an invitation to the poltergeist, you see. And this is how Cincinnati can take advantage of bird brain behavior. And in this way, Cincinnati could find their way to an upset. And that's the only path I see for Cincinnati to find their way to an upset. Turnovers, out of balance play calling, running away from the run game, pun intended. Unleashing, taking restraints off the poltergeist, unleashing him. And when you do that, he's going to chuck it to the other side. He's going to do it at least once, probably twice. And if they accept the haunted gift, then the Rams could have problems. And so because I know the coach's tendencies, because I know the quarterback has in the past suffered from split personality, football disorder, I can't pick the Rams to run away in a rout because normally, on balance, you would think that that could possibly happen. And if the Rams get out to a big lead and the defensive line can go to work feasting and McGenius is prudent and runs the ball and gives them heavy Cam Akers, yes, the Rams could blow them out. But I've watched them all season, you see, and that's not the way they play. So, what I suspect more likely is Matty from the D will be chucking it at least 45 times. There will be poltergeist sightings in the Haunted Palace at the Super Bowl. And so, the game's going to be tight, I think. It's going to come down to the wire, I think. But Matthew Stafford has the highest fourth quarter quarterback rating in the NFL this year. And so, despite it getting hairy and bumpy at times, he has proven he has the ability to overcome himself and or the team melting down around him. That pass to Cooper Kupp in Tampa Bay is iconic. It sent the old goat to retirement. And that is another iconic play that will live on in Rams history. And so the question is, how many sacks for the Rams defense? I'm going to say 5. Can Cincinnati run on the Rams? That's a big question. Will they be willing to pound it out because they've got a great running back? The question isn't can LA run, it's will LA run? Will Matthew Stafford avoid egregious turnovers? Will he keep the poltergeist from the palace on Super Bowl Sunday? Will the Rams defense continue their impressive streak? The Rams defense has at least one takeaway in 10 straight games. 10 straight. And so you'd like to see that continue in the Super Bowl. Absolutely. And so, as far as injuries concerned, it looks like most everybody's going to be back, except it doesn't look good for Higbee. And so we have to hope that Kendall Blanton will be able to ball out as he has in the past couple games. I haven't heard any real update on Taylor the Rapper. It looked like that concussion might have finished him off. I wonder if as a Ram. But Eric Weddle is expected to be in effect for Super Bowl Sunday. And so, my prediction for Super Bowl Sunday, drum roll please, LA Rams 34, Cincinnati 27, 34-27, Rams over Cincinnati in Super Bowl 56. And so you know we will be here on the other side of the Super Bowl to dissect and analyze and hopefully congratulate the LA Rams on a Super Bowl victory. But in the meantime, throw me one of these now. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me a comment. Let me know your prediction, what you think for the big game. And until I see you on the other side of Super Bowl 56, Scotty says, enjoy the game. One love.